Welcome to the Double Barrel Show. My name is Ben Bernard Smith, and this is...
Jamie's Slade.
This is what Jamie's like in the morning.
Aye.
Dead as a doornail.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Double Barrel Show. We talk about we know. Some is scripted, some off the cuff.
And we talk about movies and stuff.
Oh. Right, so Jamie's woken up now.
Apparently, yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Jamie.
Okay, so what are we talking about today, Ben?
So we're talking about video games.
And we're talking about our favourite video games that we've... We'll say that again. We're talking about our favourite video games, but not maybe necessarily our favourite video games, but ones that stand out. So Ben, what's your first?
My first one would probably be Zelda: The Wind Waker. Which was the first Zelda game I properly played, and it was just incredible, like sailing across the Great Sea, and the dungeons, and the ones where you have like a helper, and you've got to use them in conjunction to make puzzles. So everything about it was just so, the style was incredible. I still think today it was just one of the best games ever. But your first game?
So my first game, as soon as we thought about doing this, it instantly came into my head, and that's Gran Turismo 2. And I think what made it so appealing, it wasn't just a racing game. It wasn't like, select that car, select that track, do a race, win. It was almost like an RPG racing game, where you start off, you have £10,000. You can't do many races because you need to do license tests. So obviously a lot of the games closed off, so it felt like there was a levelling up kind of thing. And when you unlocked your A license, then you could go and do the A license races, and then you have to save up money. Then when you get your money, you buy your car. I always remember, like, you had this car, and it would pretty much be your car, like, all the way through a large part of the game, and you'd always be like, well, we've just saved up enough money just to add the new exhaust, and we'd attach that, and it'd make your car go by like 3 brake horsepower, and you're like, oh yes, a bit more horsepower, now we can win the race. And you used to, I think it was because we were rubbish at doing racing games back then, so we would kind of, there'd be a race and we'd literally do it about 5 times before we actually won it. Whereas now, I presume it is because I'm just better at it now, perhaps now I'm older, I do a race and I win it first time, so it's lost a bit of... So it's not just like, oh yeah, I've got a supercar now because I'm really good, but back then we used to just proper work hard on it and stuff like that. And I think that's what sets Gran Turismo apart from all the rest of the racing games, is that RPG kind of element to it.
Right, so my second choice is Yoshi's Island. Which first came out on the Super Nintendo, and then the version I played came out on the Game Boy Advance, and it was my first game basically that I played. And I think part of the reason why this is on my list is because it was basically the first game I played, and so it has that memory of just the amazingness of a video game attached to it. But on its own, it's still an amazing game. I think platformers are one of the greatest genres, and just Yoshi's Island had such a unique sort of slightly baby-like sort of cutesy quality, but not so over cutesy that it was annoying. And the mechanic of having Yoshi and the baby Mario, and if you got hurt, then baby Mario would be in a bubble and you'd have to catch him before 10 seconds ran out, or the Kamax people, I can't remember what they're called, came and like got baby Mario and took him away, and the thing that you could throw eggs, it was just such a just creative way to play the game.
Second one, it took me a while to think of this one, to be honest. I couldn't figure out which instalment of this game series I like the most. But I decided to do Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And primarily because I remember when that came out, the scope of it was unbelievable. And I'd played Vice City and I played GT3, I believe, at that point. And I remember I used to have the top-down original GTAs, GTA 1 and 2, I believe, when I was younger, I can't remember. And I definitely played them. And it was just the scope of it, how there was like 3 cities. It was Los Angeles, San Francisco and Las Vegas, the countryside in between, the mountains. And so for an open world game on PS2, pretty impressive. The cars, and it wasn't just, oh, do this mission, there was just so many side things you could do. You could own businesses, property, you could go to the casinos, pretty much all the interesting buildings you could go in. And I remember the character, CJ, you could customise him, you could make him muscly or fat. And I remember once I made him go to like the McDonald's place like so many times, and he got really big, and then he came up in the corner and was like, if you make him any more fatter, you'll be at risk of having a heart attack. I just thought that was amazing for like a game like that. So it really felt like it was almost like this other life that you were playing, which I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but it felt good, it was good.
Okay. My third choice is, I think a similar reason to, like you said, you got really engrossed in GTA San Andreas. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door for the GameCube. I loved how how engrossing the story was, and how I really loved all the different chapters, and where you went, you became a wrestler, you had sort of like this odd detective-y thing on a train, you went to this like really odd sort of black and white world. There were just so many different types of world that you would go to and play out this story. The music was amazing, the art, it was just incredible. So I really liked that game. I've probably played it about 6 times now. So yeah. Number 3?
So my third pick is very unusual. It's kind of like not even... it's not like a game people probably expect me to say, but it's definitely a game... this is going back years now. This is going back to like 1999, 2000, when we were really little. And it's Roller Coaster Tycoon. It was just so amazing how back then computers were, how rubbish they were, and how in-depth that game was. You could build the path where the people go, prices for everything. I just remember thinking it was amazing, and I felt like a proper like business warlord, just like, yeah, this is my theme park, and take over, make tons of money, advertisements, all that kind of stuff, and building massive roller coasters. And I love even to this day, I actually really like the style of the way it looks. I could probably play Roller Coaster Tycoon now and be quite happy for a few hours. And then I always remember me and my mate, we always used to get the loop roller coaster. And basically the roller coaster went up, did the loop, went to the top, then rolled back down, around the loop and into the station again. So what we always used to do is set the launch speed up to something ridiculous, like 100 miles an hour. So all your little people will be there, really happy, and on the little roller coaster, they'd shoot off, and they'd fly off the end, and just absolutely obliterate it somewhere else. And it would just come like, guest 325 has died, guest 362 has died. It's hilarious. So yeah, so they're my picks. Gran Turismo 2, San Andreas, Roller Coaster Tycoon. The games that stand out to me for some reason.
I don't know, when I make lists like this, I expect to put on things like Super Mario 64 and do you know what I mean? Like bigger, sort of more, and like with you, like I would have expected you to put GTA 5 because you played it recently and you were like, oh, this is the best game ever. Well, it is. Or Red Dead Redemption or something like that.
Yeah, technically they are better, but they don't stand out to you.
Yeah. It's sometimes for external reasons, like I said about the first game I played, basically a Christmas game or whatever.
Yeah.
So, top games, there you go. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the state of the video game industry.
Explosions.
Fast
cars.
Many explosions
cameras.
In the new revolutionary Call of Duty.
Yeah. This is what me and Ben always say at E3. They always just stand there talking about a game that comes out every single bloody year. And they'll stand there and go, here we are to announce the new, intuitive, revolutionary, exclusive, new content, Call of Duty.
It's just...
Don't get me wrong, I actually like all those games.
Yeah,
I used to play Call of Duty a lot, and I got right into it. And they are great games, but...
It's excess, isn't it?
It's like buy a new PS4 to play Call of Duty and FIFA. Yeah, because I can't play that on my 360.
You made that point about how you see these new systems coming out now, Xbox One and PS4. And a lot of the games that people are saying, oh, look at this game, you can buy on the PS3, and you can buy them on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, it's got exclusive content.
DLC. Like Watch Dogs, their DLC, one of their, no, not DLC, they're one of their exclusive things is you have this, you have a phone that can hack into things, and their exclusive thing is a faster hacking system. So basically they're saying, buy the 360 version of the game so that you can hack into things faster. What is the point?
It's ridiculous, isn't it? And on games that have DLC on launch, I don't understand. Well, why don't if it's in launch?
Was that advert we saw before? Was it Marvel Superheroes? Lego Marvel Superheroes?
Yeah, and you could get the Asgard
DLC
on launch, the launch DLC. Put it in the game then if it's on launch, because you've obviously already made it at the same time. Whereas in the past, you used to have a video game, it would come out, and then a whole year later, they'd bring out an expansion pack, as they used to be called, and that would give you like a ton of like new stuff, and it was only for PCs really, wasn't it? And they'd give you, and I remember that expansion packs used to be they're basically like a whole other game, like almost like half for another game, and it used to be half the price anyway. I've never bought DLC.
What's the point? No, I haven't either.
I don't see the point. Once upon a time, you used to get a game and it was a full game, and they thought, well, that's your game, you don't need any more because it's really good, and you play it and be happy. Now it's like you get a game, and it's like you feel like you have to get DLC because you feel like there's so much missing.
The other thing that kind of annoys us is yearly releases. So, I mean, we've already touched on this by talking about Call of Duty and FIFA, but then also you've got things like Assassin's Creed.
That's become yearly.
The Arkham games, the Batman Arkham games, that's starting to be yearly release, and it's just like you don't need them every year. You don't want to play them every year. If you have a new Call of Duty at E3 announced, everyone's excited for some reason, even though it's exactly the same as last year's. They then get it at Christmas. They then play it probably until the summer, and then hear about the next one. There's no time for a build of hype. There's just no time for it.
Well, this is an example of why yearly releases are shit, even though in a way I do kind of like the games that are yearly released. The reason why they're shit, Assassin's Creed comes out every year. And it's let's just say it's $39.99. It's probably more than that, right? This explains the whole thing. People seem to think that that's justifiable. You can buy that every year. Then if someone, can you imagine the prospect of a Grand Theft Auto coming out yearly? If you ask that to someone, they'd be like, oh, don't be silly, because there's so much in that game, and it's so well made and so different. Each installment's so completely different. And they take about 5 years now to make a Grand Theft Auto. It's unrealistic for a Grand Theft Auto. It couldn't be made in a year. No. They could not make a Grand Theft Auto in a year. And yet that's the same price as a game that is yearly release.
Yeah, it's just
stupid.
It's the same
really good games.
It's the same for Zelda or Mario games. Like I complain about Zelda games, and I complain about Mario games, and I complain about the Wii U, but I still stand by the fact that I think Nintendo, they don't do DLC. They don't do yearly releases mostly. I mean, they bring out Mario games basically every year, but they're different kinds of Mario games. And when they actually bring out a Mario game like this Christmas, Super Mario 3D World or Zelda A Link Between Worlds, those both coming out this year, they've spent years and years and years and years crafting a new game they're trying to do something completely different, and usually they will always get 9 or 10s from reviewers and a really really good fan base, and that's why you can run for like 25, 30 years on a franchise and not run out of steam, is by doing that. Whereas yearly releases like Call of Duty, I think it's going to run into the ground eventually.
I suspect people will get bored of it.
Yeah.
I can't see why people would still want to keep playing it. And Call of Duty, compared to some of the other games that are coming out recently, like Battlefield looks better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of better games coming out now than Call of Duty. I'm not saying it's a bad game, it's just... Why don't they stop for like 3 years, so there's a 3-year gap, and completely change it and make the most kick-ass first-person shooter imaginable, where perhaps your choices change the storyline and like layers to the game and add RPG elements, like just completely rebuild the entire thing. They won't do it though.
But then they have said before as well, Call of Duty, people who play Call of Duty, a lot of the people that play it aren't really gamers.
You're Call of Duty players.
They're just Call of Duty players. So I don't know. I mean, there is a. I mean, it's things like.
So uninspired. It's like
Terry Pratchett. He brings out a new Discworld book every year, but nobody complains about that.
No, but the books.
But I suppose the difference is, first of all, it's not as expensive, and because it's a story, you get to do something completely different. Whereas Call of Duty just seems like you could essentially bring out a Call of Duty game every 3 years, and then at Christmas time bring out a big package of DLC that's like 15 quid instead.
Mm.
Maybe.
I don't know.